В новогодние праздники хочется просто утюленить.
Алиса, включи Гринч.
Подарите себе отдых с телевизором на платформе Яндекс.ТВ. Покупайте телевизоры с Яндекс.ТВ в Сетилинке.
Welcome to today's talk, Saturday the 18th of December. Now it looks like the main features of Omicron infection in the UK so far are most commonly a runny nose, second a headache, thirdly fatigue, which can be mild or quite severe, a varying presentation of fatigue, sneezing and a sore throat. They are the symptoms that have been identified so far as the most likely presenting symptoms in that order for Omicron infection in the UK. That's in the UK situation. Now more on this in a minute, but let's go on to some orientation slides first of all, because there's some pretty interesting things unfolding actually at the moment. New daily confirmed COVID-19 cases. Now Denmark is remarkably high for new cases, but of course what we have to remember is Denmark has the best sequencing capacity in the world by far. So it's not surprising that they're picking up more cases. So Denmark, we see, are picking up a lot of hospitalizations have been going up in Denmark, but nothing like in proportion to the increase in testing, indicating that they're picking up a lot more cases than most other countries are. Sort of summer 2020, or our summer. This was their beta wave, what we called the South Africa variant at the time. This was their Delta wave. So succinct, isn't it? Wild type wave, beta wave, delta wave, and now with the Omicron wave the numbers are clearly at a record higher than they have ever been for the numbers. With Omicron who are also in hospital, many of whom are in hospital for other reasons other than Omicron infection. They are incidental findings. In fact, we believe that applies to the majority. So basically 8,000 people. These ones are in ICU, 528. Remember, this is a population of 60 million, high care and the general ward. And the patients that are requiring oxygen, so basically 8,000 people in hospital diagnosed with Omicron, 202 are currently ventilated. This is bad, but for a whole country it's very, very, very small. And 1,112 patients requiring oxygen in the South Africa situation at the moment. So very, very low numbers so far. Now I've got a report directly from the hospital situation in South Africa, so I want to share that now. This is from Claire, who's in South Africa. The medical people I interact with at the hospital are far more optimistic than I've seen them since. This all quotes there from South Africa. Look at Tim Spector's data here, the COVID symptom tracker data, just for further orientation on this now. So now these are people that are doubly vaccinated, who become new cases amongst doubly vaccinated people. These are symptomatic cases, so lots of doubly vaccinated people are symptomatic. This is the total number of cases here, the total number of people symptomatic. So we do see that people who are doubly vaccinated are still getting clinical features quite extensively. Nearly always the clinical features are mild, and nearly always they're shorter lived. They're less likely to result in severe illness, hospitalizations and death, but they still are symptomatic. Now this is incidence by age group. So the particularly notable thing here is the younger age group, fairly flat in terms of overall incidence. Of course, this is always about a week out of date. This is up to the 11th of December, I think, so this is always a bit out of date. What we do see, though, is this rapid increase in 18 to 35-year-olds, and this has actually been confirmed by more recent data. A reduction in the older age group, who tend to socialise less but are also steeply. And this, of course, is the London line, because that's where Omicron's taken hold in England first. Make no mistakes, other parts of the UK will be following on in the next few days. But that is the situation. Omicron wave in London that's been going on now for, what, 5 Zoe reported symptoms. So this is the early London data, right? Most common, runny nose. Second most common, headache. Third most common, fatigue. Sometimes the fatigue was bad, sometimes check, that's the same. Headache, check, that's the same. Tiredness, check, that's the same. Now, London, in the UK it's described as a sore throat. In South Africa it's described as a scratchy or sore throat. So I think that's the same. Body aches are more likely to break through. So it could be the difference in the nature of immunity. And test and behave. Did take this off the website about 25 minutes ago, so it could be conditions on the ground in South Africa. Set to be the dominant strain in the UK by Christmas, of course. And in the new year, cases could hit people in the family. These are the people we need to think about protecting over the holiday period. Tim Spector says, I'd recommend limiting social contacts in the run-up to Christmas. He's not saying don't have your Christmas dinner, because this is the really important thing that we need to get across. This one is out of date.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of
And
Piano TV.
we need to have a high
Today we're going
index
to
of
be talking
suspicion.
about which books
for
are best for beginners, or for somebody who's been playing piano for a year with, or like up to a year, with some amount of regularity. Because it can be hard to tell, especially if you don't want to play like little kid songs all day long. This video kind of goes in conjunction with the last Q&A, which was how to find level appropriate repertoire or music. So if you haven't already seen that, you might want to, just for more information, and I will link it below. So first off, it's always a good idea to use a good, solid method book that's geared towards adults. The two that I've used the most would be the Alfred's Adult Method Book, as well as the Piano Adventures Adult Method Book, and I actually like this one better, even though I've used this one for many, many years. The book that's geared toward. So first off, it's always a good idea to use a good, solid method book that's geared towards adults. The two that I've used the most would be the Alfred's Adult Method Book, as well as the Piano Adventures Adult Method Book, and I actually like this one better, even though I've used this one for many, many years. The Piano Adventures one, I just find that the songs are really good. It goes through a really well-organized pace. There's duet parts, so if you have a friend who plays piano or you take lessons with a teacher, you can play these really nice songs with these creative duets, and that's pretty fun. The biggest reason I would say to use a method book is it kind of takes you through every learning step so that you don't have holes in your knowledge when you're learning how to play piano. It takes you right from square one. So if you're a complete beginner, you can have a lot of success with this. Once you have a good grasp on note reading, and you can read all over the staff pretty comfortably, and you know 8th notes and 16th notes. So basically, when you've been playing for about 3 to 6 months, good books to get into are the Royal Conservatory Preparatory level books. Now, this is kind of the gateway to grade 1, essentially. So all this material is designed to help get you ready for the grade level. This is like music kindergarten, basically. But don't be fooled by the cutesy names. Like some of these songs, one's called Playful Puppy, one's called Starfish at Night, but they're actually pretty hard pieces, even though they do sound cute. So these are pretty difficult for a complete beginner, but if you've been playing for a few months, this would be right up your alley. Now, this book may not be the most appealing, exciting book in the world by Carl Cherney, but this is the kind of book that's going to make you a good piano player. It's going to develop your technique. Just for a bit of background information, Carl Czerny was a student of Beethoven's, and he wasn't like a great master composer or anything, but he was going to develop your technique. Just for a bit of background information, Carl Czerny was a student of Beethoven's, and he wasn't like a great master composer or anything, but he was a really good teacher, and he wrote tons of books like designed just for students to develop their technique. And these songs sound good, they sound nice, and it follows a logical progression, so it's actually a pretty good book to start out with if you're just learning how to read notes. I would say that like only about a third of this book is at a beginner level because it gets pretty hard pretty fast. But this is a good, you can think of this as like a method book if it were 200 years ago. I find it really, really, really useful and I teach from it a lot. Dmitri Kabalensky is one of those rare composers like Czerny, who we just talked about, who wrote music from a beginner level all the way through to an advanced, difficult level. Most composers usually just write like beginner level pieces, or they write really difficult pieces like most classical composers you know. There's not a lot who do it all, but this guy does it all. And this is called 24 Pieces for Children, Opus 39. But don't be put off by the title, it's not like it's just for kids. These are really good songs, and for the most part, like, a kid wouldn't be playing these songs for a year or two anyway because they're not right at a beginner level. You'd probably want to have a few months of playing piano before you even attempted these. But it's a really good collection. It actually spans a really wide range of levels, so the easiest pieces would be preparatory level, but some of the pieces get as difficult as grade 5 and grade 6. So you won't get a ton of use out of this right off the bat, but it will grow with you, and it is a book that you can continually return to instead of just using it for a few months and then forgetting about it forever. I think it makes a really nice addition to any piano music collection, so that's a good one. Aside from the books I just talked about, which I would say are my favorite ones and what I would consider the core that I use for beginner students, there's a lot of contemporary collections that are really, really good. So just an example would be something like this, William Gillick's Accents on Solos series. They have some good tunes. If you're looking for more contemporary music or songs that you might have heard of, the Alfred series does a whole collection labeled by level of different pop songs. Like this one has My Heart Will Go On and, you know, songs like that, right? Faber and Faber have some of my favorite contemporary collections, and they have it in all types of genres. So if you like Broadway, if you like jazz and blues, classical arrangements, they have tons of books that look like this that are like really short, really affordable, with beginner level pieces that you'll be able to play instead of struggling. Now, I will say that a lot of books that say easy piano on them, it can be a little bit misleading. Now, this book is easier than a standard level, like a standard pop book, like just a regular pop book. Contemporary collections, and they have it in all types of genres. So if you like Broadway, if you like jazz and blues, classical arrangements, they have tons of books that look like this that are like really short, really affordable, with beginner level pieces that you'll be able to play instead of struggling. Now, I will say that a lot of books that say easy piano on them, it can be a little bit misleading. Now, this book is easier than a standard level, like a standard pop book, like just a regular pop book, but it's not beginner level, it's easier. But I would say like a lot of these songs are out of the scope of someone who's only been playing for a year or less. So just be careful with the ones labeled easy piano, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. It's just easier than the other books that exist. One thing I talked about in the previous Q&A that I just want to restate for extra emphasis is that you can refer to the RCM or the ABRSM syllabus to get ideas for songs or collections of songs at the right level for you. And you can also use Sheet Music Plus's level, like search by level function to achieve the same thing. And basically anything primer leveled, anything preparatory leveled should be fair game by using these search functions. It should be well within the range of someone who's only been playing piano for a year or less. And you'll probably notice at some point that a lot of books at a preparatory level are sort of geared towards kids, but that's okay because there's lots of really great music that kids and adults can enjoy. Like, at some point that a lot of books at a preparatory level are sort of geared towards kids, but that's okay because there's lots of really great music that kids and adults can enjoy, like, you know, The Circle of Life or Somewhere Over the Rainbow, or, you know, tunes like that that everyone likes and are fun to learn. So don't be afraid of some of the child theme music. Like, it's all good. And the longer that you play piano, the more music options you'll have available to you, because there's just a larger body of repertoire options when you're at an intermediate to an advanced level. So the more you play, the more choices you'll have. You do have more limited choices as a beginner, but there's still lots of great music that you can find. And what I've shown you are just the ones that I tend to go to again and again. And if you want other song options, you know, keep learning the music that I provide on this channel as well. And that should be good. That'll be good. Good times, good times. All right, so thank you for watching this video, and feel free to ask more questions in the comments, or if you want to send me a message via my website, pianotv.net, you can do that too. And I hope you have a fabulous day.
Good afternoon and welcome to December's Practice Clinic Live. It's good to be with you, and I'm Graham Fitch, co-founder of the online...
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Piano TV. I am Alicia, your host, and today I wanted to talk about the question that I receive all the time via email. Am I too old to learn piano? Now I have to send a caveat, because I get this email from people of all ages, from teenagers even. I've had 16, 17, 18-year-olds email me and say they're too old to learn piano. All their peers are way ahead of them, and should I even bother learning? And it's like, yes, you're a little baby, learn piano, do it. And then I receive a fairly frequent amount of emails from people in their 20s and 30s asking the same question, in which I have a similar response. It's like, you're a little young one, go be free in the world. But I get questions like this all the way, for people all the way up through their 80s. I've even had participants in our piano courses in their 80s. So that's a pretty encouraging sign if there are people in their 80s learning piano, even 90s, although I haven't personally met a 90-year-old working on piano. It can be done, but I wanted to get into it a little bit today. Learning music as an adult is a different experience than learning as a kid. Our brains aren't quite as spongy. So I wanted to talk about some of the possible caveats and traps that you might fall into when you're a little bit older learning the piano. But the short answer to the question of am I too old to learn piano is no. If that's all you wanted to get from the video, then now you've gotten it, and go practice piano and have fun. For the rest of you, let's get started.
What's up?
Hi, Jira. We brought you here today to let you know that we made the business decision to switch to ClickUp. Your performance has been decreasing over the last few quarters. There's no innovation, no new features, poor customer support, and there have been several complaints for years.
But I just have my way of operating.
I know, and we really appreciate everything that you've done, but we just can't be productive with you on the team.
But...
And we gave consideration to the fee hikes, but then there was the server issue, and now you're telling us that you don't have the speed to work with our new projects, and we can't proceed.
Come on. It's not that bad.
Well, we need more features, and you charge us for add-ons. Our non-dev team wants to work in a different way, and yet you force everyone to comply with your way only. Yes, and when we want to share data in a new way, you just flat out refuse. And when we want to integrate new tools, you pack up your stuff and you go home. Yeah, so frankly, your replacement, ClickUp, just handles our workload more easily and can do way more.
Look, I tried explaining all this in my last update.
I know, okay, that's enough. Also, how many times have we caught you sleeping on the job?
It's not technically sleep. I'm closing my eyes for a few seconds so I can think about my workflow.
Okay, well, I think we're done here. You can go. Thank you so much.
Bring
epics, stories, and sprints to click on. Free forever.
Take all of your add-ons with you.
There's just so many back there.
One of the things I wanted to talk about first and foremost is one of the main benefits of learning piano as an adult. You have this depth of life experiences that you can draw from that children just don't have, and that makes learning the instrument so much more meaningful and rewarding to play. So how many times have I heard a 13-year-old play a Chopin Nocturne and just not understand the subtleties of the music at all? They can play the notes, but they're not really evoking an emotional.
Oops.